Alrighty, and we are live here from the Apartment of Solitude, along with the lovely Janet from another planet who is taking a cosplay lesson from Sion Phillips. And tonight, one girl, a guy, and a movie actually will be discussing the great 1981 classic.
Sorry, I have to turn off my phone. I thought I did. I put it on this, the little orange click over thing.
Please,
I did that and it didn't help.
okay, I'll have a pro streamer moment here soon.
I'm sorry.
It's a good. It's good. Everybody does it. It's all right. Um, we're discussing the movie from 1981, Clash of the Titans, which is a fantastic movie. And if you guys haven't seen it yet, well, that's really you're missing out. This movie has, of all people, Laurence Olivier, Harry Hamlin as Perseus, Jack Gwilym as Poseidon, Ursula Andress with one line in the entire movie.
I bet they paid pretty penny for it.
Oh man, did they ever pay a penny? They had Pat Roach in here, the man who beat up Indiana Jones in not one but two movies. And then of all people, yes, the mentor to Perseus, Harry Hamlin, was Burgess Meredith, played Amon.
Yeah, I liked him too.
And Cassiopeia was played by Sion Phillips, my favorite Benny Gesserit from the 1984 Dune movie.
Mm-hmm.
This movie was directed by Desmond Davis, written by Beverly Cross, and it made how much money in its 1981 theatrical run, hon?
$6,565,000. It's a lot.
And
Back then, it was second under Raiders of the Lost Ark. So it did make a lot of money back then. Because the calculations are different now, the way they do it, because of the different money they charge or something like that. But yeah, I was really shocked. It was one of the 1981's biggest hits.
yes, everybody I knew
behind Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's a big woohoo win if you think about it. So that's great.
Considering that this movie did very poorly among critics.
Oh, it didn't do too bad. It says it says on the website Rotten Tomatoes, the film holds an approval rating of 63% based on 49 reviews, an average of 6 out of 10. The website's critical census reads a goofy, old school sword and sandal epic. Clash of the Titans. Greek mythology is a story that fleshes out with whatever, Harry Hossen's charming stop motion animation techniques. But the thing is, it doesn't really matter what the professionals were saying. It still was, well, it does in a way, because anytime that the professionals didn't like a movie, I would go see it.
That typically is how it worked for me.
That means it was good.
When the fat guy and the skinny guy didn't like it, y'all know who I'm talking about there.
Yes.
When they didn't like something, I would typically go see it pretty proudly. I am not a fan of Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel. But I just wanted to say that this movie was something I saw on HBO when I was a 6-year-old kid over at my friend's house. And this was a very impressive film. I didn't know anything that was going on. I had no idea what Greek mythology was. And so I went home asking mom and dad, and my mom and dad gave me we're Baptists. We don't believe that. We don't even talk about it.
There's only one God. That's how I remember my mother telling me. So
before we get into diving into this movie really hard, I'd like to say thank you to our friends who are dedicated. We have 6 of you in the YouTube chat. Shadow and Sun, Calvin Ani, and others that are here, and I really have to thank you for being here. Janet, can you talk about your exposure with this film? Because this came out, I was a sacred cow. I couldn't go see these things. That was a slaughterhouse, the movie theater. Can't go see
Yeah.
that. It's not Star Wars.
Well, when I was first introduced to it, I didn't really know that much about this era of movies or anything like that. I was never really, interested in it. I was into vampires and all that stuff. So when my mom wanted us to go see it, I went to see it, and I thought it was really, really good. I was really shocked. How intricate it was when it came to the gods and stuff. And that reminds me of something. I read let me see if I can find it. Here it is. It says that, let's see, Christopher John, whoever that is, I don't know, reviewed Clash of the Titans. Okay. So from Ari's magazine, it says, and he commented, Clash of the Titans is still one of Harryhausen's best works. It has a decent script, a fine cast, and a lot of good effects. The problem lies in the little things. If in truth it was to be a Clash of the Titans, then it should have been featured the way it was featured. He said that it was neither the gods or Perseus' story. It should have been either the gods, or it should have been for about Perseus' story, not both. And I disagree with that, because I think the script did a very good job at explaining what was going on and why it was happening. If you just had Perseus doing his stuff, and you just see the stuff appear, but you didn't hear any of the interaction between the gods, why he would send out the Kraken, and stuff like that wouldn't make any sense. It would just seem like the gods just hate people and just want everybody to die, since the whole city of Argos was destroyed, and everybody in it, simply because the king wanted to kill his daughter, or torture his daughter and his grandchild to a horrible death of starvation, basically, of dying out in the ocean. So that's why they were destroyed. But I think that without that information coming from the gods too, I just don't think the story would have been as good. What do you think about that?
You need to have the gods in any Greek literature, any Greek story. You really need to have the gods as a main piece. You really do.
Yeah.
Because
So
the entire mythology depends upon their intervention. And what did Zeus fuck in order to cause this period of events that 20 years later?
it was let's see, what was her name? I'm trying to find her.
He always has sex with things. He's like the Iron Man, the Greek mythos.
Yeah, it was her name was Danae.
Yep.
Beautiful Princess Danae, and he visited her as a shower of gold, glittery gold. And when she became pregnant, the father knew, so that he was really pissed off about it. So supposedly it shamed him that his daughter was pregnant out of wedlock, I guess. So instead of trying to help her or find her a husband, he just decides to crucify her and his grandchild by putting them in a big old box and putting them out in the ocean. So Zeus made sure that after the Kraken came and destroyed Argos, that he was going to make sure that Danae and Perseus ended up somewhere on a safe island where they wouldn't die. So, and that's what happened. So they didn't bite the big one. He saved his son. And I guess Perseus is his only son out of all the women he slept with.
Yeah, that was kind of the weird part about that.
Yeah, because I was like, he must have had a shit ton of daughters. That's all I could think of.
That was what I was thinking of too, because there's a lot of Greek stories where Zeus sleeps with this woman, and then Zeus sleeps with that woman, and then Zeus begat. It seems like he had a never-ending parade of willing women willing to try their hand at birthing a Herculean man.
Yeah, he was a very horny man, or god, I'll put it that way. But the one line that at the opening, when I think, was it Thaddeus, his wife, when she was saying, you're gonna destroy the whole city, was this, who was it, what was the other one? I guess it was Hera.
Yes.
No. Was Hera the one that whose son was turned into a hideous
Calabas.
creature? Calabas's mother. What was her name? Queen Cassia? No,
Thetis.
Thaddeus. Yeah.
Thetis. Yeah.
Okay. Well, when she was saying that you're going to destroy the whole city, just for that, and that's when his wife defends him and says, "Well, it's the son of Zeus," basically. So when Zeus said, "One 1,000 good deeds cannot atone for one murder," when she was talking about how the king has all these temples for him and prays to him on a regular basis and stuff, and that's even though he did that by what he did by betraying Zeus by killing his child, trying to kill his child, was to destroy the whole city and kill everyone. He said not even a crawling creature was to be left alive. So, and that whole scene was pretty awesome. I thought, when you consider that it was all done with little models and in clay motion. The creature was claymation, basically.
Stop
So
motion.
yeah, stop motion. But the whole thing was just, I thought it was very good. Even the scenes where you do have real people and water rushing over the wall and things like that, the costumes and everything. I just thought it was. I loved it, even though it was very outdated now to watch it. But you could see that in 1981 that was considered pretty cool. Same thing with the Raiders of the Lost Ark, with all the rolling balls and all the treacherous stuff that he was trying to go through. I just thought all that was really, really good. And then after that part is when you see him growing up, on the beach and learning how to ride a horse. And you could see they had some young trick rider running alongside the horse and then using his feet and grabbing the mane and jumping up on the horse and then jumping back down and doing tricks and stuff. So that was to prove to you as a viewer that even when Perseus grew up, that he would be very good at riding a horse and controlling a horse without a saddle or anything on it, to set him up for when he was to get Pegasus. So I thought that was a smart move on the people who put together the screenplay for that part.
I didn't have a problem with the screenplay. I saw somebody just posted, it was Six Nations 31 Kings asks, why use Kraken when you can give him to the Northmen and use Cetus as a sea creature? And I'm like, we could use that. Yeah, scriptwriter, come and tell us. But I really like the Kraken. I really like how the Kraken looked.
Yeah, and it said in the thing that I printed out, it said, let's see, where is it? Oh, it said that that Zeus orders Poseidon to release the last of the Titans, a gigantic sea monster called the Kraken, to destroy Argos. So he was apparently the last, big monstrous creature left that he could use to destroy a whole city that came from the ocean. So apparently that's the reason they in this script, why they took it or used the Kraken.
Yeah, Cetus was a large sea monster or fish or whale in Greek mythology.
Mm-hmm.
And sea monsters that heroes Perseus and Hercules killed during their adventures were described with the word Cetus. And they're mentioned in the story of Perseus. It's probably known better than most of the other stories. It happens when Cassiopeia, queen of Ethiopia, anyway, boasted that her daughter Andromeda surpassed the Nereid nymphs in beauty. By the way, don't do that. Don't try to tip the nymphs and say, I'm prettier than you. Poseidon, Poseidon's infuriated by the insolence of the mortal one, sent a sea monster named Cetus to destroy the shores of the region.
Mm-hmm.
Cassiopeia and her husband, Cephas, asked the advice of an oracle. They told him they should sacrifice their daughter to the monster in order to appease the angry god. The royal couple agreed and had their daughter chained to a rock next to the sea. Just before Cetus attacked her, Perseus appeared and learned what was about to happen. He freed Andromeda and either slew the monster with his sword or used Medusa's head to turn it to stone. Depends on which account you read.
Well, because I was reading on the, on this other sheet about different facts. Okay, here it is. It said, it said that they had part of the script that they changed. The draft script included scenes that the BBFC considered would be unacceptable under the the certificates, including the Kraken tearing Pegasus Pegasus to pieces. Okay, and that Andromeda appearing naked during the climax of the film. So they changed both of those things. They just made him fall in the Pegasus landing into the water when the Kraken hit him with his paw thing or claw, and then changing the script on submission so it cuts to Perseus's final battle with Calabas. Okay, so they wanted to fix it to where anyone of age 5 and older would not be admitted, so that there would be children under 14 years old. So they were trying to lower the violence as much as they could to let younger people into the movies. It's not the same as it is today, where pretty much anything goes on YouTube or whatever for any kid to watch. So, but back in 1981, apparently they actually gave a crap about whether a 5-year-old could see a stripper or something, someone dressed up and dancing in front of them with their parents around them. I just had to throw that in there. Sorry.
You're good.
But,
You're good.
But the thing is that they were very detailed on certain things about what they wanted in the film. They wanted certain details about the whole story of Perseus's gallancy, of how what he went through, his trials and tribulations to be able to be with Andromeda. I mean, that's why their stars were scattered for them in their name. Supposedly was because of their impact on humanity or whatever, because of the sacrifices they made for all the people under Zeus, So I think that was a very romantic and gallant story of heroes overcoming adversity type of thing. I just loved it. I thought it was really, really good. But when is it Thetis or Queen? Let's see. Yeah. Sea goddess. I wonder why they call her the sea goddess, because she didn't even do anything with the sea. Poseidon did everything. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But that's something I didn't even think about until I watched it again this time. But the part where Perseus uses his helmet that is sent as a gift from the gods. He got a shield, he got a sword, and he got a helmet from 3 different goddesses that made him for him. And the helmet would, if you put it on, it would make him so he could be invisible, even his clothes. So I thought that was very good too, because in some of the other comic book stories and stuff, you have to be naked for it to make you invisible. But so he basically
Wait. Hold on. So you're saying a 1981 Harry Hamlin wouldn't make Janet a happy mama?
Well, I thought he was. I never heard of him before. I never heard of him at all until I saw him in the movie, and I thought he was very, very, very cute. Very nice looking guy.
Yeah, he actually has retained most of his good youthful looks.
But all the women I thought were very attractive in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they didn't have any dogs, any barf women or whatever you want to call them. I thought everybody was very attractive. So even except for Calabas, we don't know what he looked like before he was cursed, because he was such a dick by killing all the winged horses that Zeus had put on the planet. So it was down to 1, and he was a stallion, so there wouldn't be any more, unless I guess he could breed with regular horses and maybe have a few that might have some wings or something. But that whole thing was that the reason why he was cursed to become a hideous creature.
This is Neil McCarthy playing Calabas in 1981.
Yeah, he did a good job. But I was really surprised watching this how many of the characters had blue eyes.
Yeah.
It was blue eyes on him. There was blue eyes on the princesses, and bunches of the people in the streets and stuff had blue eyes. I was just really surprised. Even Medusa had blue eyes.
This guy was also in Time Bandits. I need to really applaud that. I like Time Bandits. I'm sorry, that's one of the movies we will be watching in the future.
Like, sorry, I got to blow my nose. My nose is running. Darn it.
Oh no. Sir Laurence Olivier, one of the most amazing actors ever.
Yeah, there was quite a few. But after his her son was cursed by Zeus, Thaddeus was pissed off because of all the special treatment that Zeus was giving his son and not her son. So she was kind of pissed off about it. But so when her son was begging her to do something, because the princess Andromeda did not want to marry him once he became a hideous creature. So he couldn't really do anything about it. So he would send his giant pet vulture-like creature at night to get her in her dreams and bring her back. So she'd have to spend the evenings with him so he could gaze upon her beauty. But he also would send her a riddle every time he would get her, so that when a suitor would come to try to marry her, because now that she wasn't going to be able to marry a prince or whatever, and she was a princess, she'd have to have a suitor that would be able to break the spell, and he would be allowed to marry the princess. So in each time they would get it wrong, they would be burnt at the stake. And that's what Calabas wanted, because he said if, or not him, but his mother said that if, her son couldn't have him, no one would. No one else would either. So the mother was kind of
Bitch.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. She was a real hag, if you want to say that. But so considering all these people were, praising her and building her temples, she wasn't very good to her people for that aspect of it. But so she's mad and she can't really do anything to stop Zeus from doing what he did. So to get even with him, which I think Zeus knew that she was going to do something, because he just walked off and left all his little people and stuff like on the wall that he would take and lay into the big amphitheater, and have do different things with them that way and change them, because they were basically made out of clay. And I'd really like that idea, because the whole aspect of us being made from the dirt, and then God breathed life into us when he started with Adam and Eve. Basically, that's what these people were. When he would take them off of the shelves, in his big room that he had, and then he would set them down and have them interact. He could change things that was going on the earth, which I thought was a really good way of using your imagination for the younger people watching this. Just to, I don't know. I really thought it was really cool. But
I'm a big fan of how everybody kind of came to be in this movie, and how Zeus is just this great dungeon master, and whenever he wants to play, he just wanders over to his shelf. He's like, well, here's a 7th level fighter. I guess I'll put him in play and see if he'll gain some experience points or not. Whatever.
Yeah, I thought it was really smart.
I thought that was fantastic. That's one of my favorite parts about this movie. And I get to feel like that every other Saturday. I'm just saying.
Yeah. But it was really fun. It was really imaginative,
Yes.
to the simple little things like that. Something so small, really, just taking a figurine and setting it down added so much depth to me for the movie. And when she was mad, so when he left, she went over and got Perseus's person, which was sleeping on a beach on the island that he was left on, and then put him in the middle of this amphitheater in Joppa. Okay. Yep. Because she wanted him close to her son, so her son could do something to maybe get, some kind of revenge on him because she knew her son would be stronger and more powerful simply because of his curse, his affliction now. So I don't know, she was just clouded her judgment because of what she was trying to do for her son, which put Perseus on his quest. Basically, that's how it started it. Because if she hadn't done that, hadn't interfered, who knows how long she would have been an old woman before somebody could have married her. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But because she butted in, just like I think Zeus assumed that she would, because of her being so upset with him when he cursed her son in the first place. But he was an evil person. He was a spoiled, rotten brat, basically.
He's such an evil dick, but that's just my own opinion.
But I just thought that whole story around that to me was very important for the whole lead up to what Perseus's quest would be, for the story for him and how he became famous. So I just thought all that had to be in there, and I'm glad that that's how they did it, because it laid it all out for you, so you understood and you were rooting for him because you wanted him to be successful. And then if you think about it now, though, it was kind of creepy, the one scene where you see the Perseus's mother holding his hand, and they're both naked, the little boy and the woman walking on the beach as the sun is setting. Do you remember that?
I do.
So
I'm a big fan of female nudity, so I mean, I know that sounds like how
what I mean is, it's society now, by doing that, I think it would have been a big uproar over it. But to me, I thought it was really believable for the times that this supposedly was taking, for that part of his life and what year it was in the world, that was a normal activity lots of people would, do and not think twice about it. So I liked it because, it was the love of a woman for her child. She was willing to die for him. She wouldn't kill him. So that's why the father had to kill his own daughter, because he was pissed off that she got pregnant. But sent him on his way. So, and then Calabas had to be the antagonist, because he had to try to make sure that whatever Perseus did, he couldn't break the curse, because as long as he couldn't stop the Kraken, no one would get to have his woman, so that basically the whole story around that was really, I thought, really good. And he was always interjecting himself to slow Perseus down from being able to finish, his quest, which I thought was really good. But my favorite scene in the movie was the scene with the Stygian witches.
Really?
And I don't know who they were.
Share with me the eye.
Two of the witches were very familiar to me, but I couldn't place what movies they've been in before or whatever. But their voice, and the one, especially the one that was in the middle most of the time, looking through the eye, she was very familiar to me. But I couldn't tell you who they were. But
Flora Robinson was one of the witches, and she was in Saratoga Trunk, The Seahawk, and Black Narcissist.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the last movie she did, because she died in 1984 in 1982.
Did she die of what happened to her?
She was too young. She died at the age of 82 in 1984.
She was really old when she was in it. I figured it was all makeup, but boy, they looked great. I mean, those are great costumes.
It's funny, her mini bio on IMDb reads like this: Flora Robinson knew she was no beauty, but her wise and sympathetic face would become a familiar, indeed shining ornament of the 1930s and 40s silver screen. Though not sure of acting as a career in her early years, she first appeared on stage when she was 5 years young. She was educated at Palmer's Green High School and went on in her teens to the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art in London, winning a bronze medal in 1921. Between 21 and 1923, she performed in London and Oxford, but both uncertainty and the unstable income of acting convinced her to spend the next few years working at a factory welfare officer in East London. This is in 1923, okay? This lady lived a full life. She was fantastic.
Well,
She
she
was,
did good. I mean, they
yeah,
did really good in that. Very believable. To me, that was one of the most believable actual special effects scenes where they had to have makeup and stuff
yes.
for you to believe that that's who they were. And the whole fact about the way that none of them had any eyes
None.
on their face, they were all blind, and the only way they could project or see was by using the eye. And I wrote this down. I thought it was a really good line. It says, because they were fighting who wants to see, and she goes, I want to be the first to see. And she took it, she put it on. This says, it's a young man, not plump but well made. Really like really tempting. Like she couldn't wait to get her hands on him and dig in. You know what I'm saying? I just thought that line was really,
A
really good.
well-made human male. Yeah, I remember that.
But before they even went, when Perseus was laid into the Colosseum with the Burgess Meredith, and then he finds the helmet and all that, and he tries it out, and he puts the helmet on, and he leaves, and you can see the footprints leaving, and he's yelling about, where are you going? He says he's going to Argos, and then Burgess Meredith says, the young, why do they never listen? I thought that was a pretty good line too, but that's the way it is, because it's true. They're just gonna go off and do whatever they want, no matter what you tell them, and that it's not safe or whatever. And he didn't even take his sword or his shield; he just took his helmet, so he wasn't thinking ahead. But if he hadn't went, then he wouldn't have found out about the princess being in her nightmares, basically, where Calabas was visiting her in her nightmares. But I thought that was all a really good setup for that. But the Stygian witch is really good, and it was smart, and in the fact that how Perseus handled the whole thing about making sure, because thank God he had the owl. What was the owl's name? Do you remember?
Whoa.
Oh, it's right, Bilbo.
Bupo.
Bubo. Okay, because she wasn't about to give her real owl, but she had to make one, which I thought was really cool. So to me, Bubo was kind of like the comic relief, like when he gets knocked off and he falls into the water and you hear the bubbles coming up and him waddling and coming out and he's gasping and coughing and stuff after they were fighting those scorpions that came from the blood from Medusa's head. So, little things like that were very, very good details to me to show the power of these giant titans. Even though she was dead, she was still deadly. You know what I mean? But that whole scene, after the witches tell them where to go, they could find Medusa and where she is, and they tell the story. What was his name? Burgess Meredith tells the story about where she came from and how she was cursed. I thought that was all very detailed and very good to keep the story flowing, so that anyone, even a person who hadn't read anything about the different gods and the different things, the fights between all the pettiness and stuff between the gods, being jealous and sleeping with each other, and all that stuff, which is just like us, just like we're all petty and fighting over somebody because they're better looking or they got more money and a nicer vehicle or whatever. It all resonated with the people that were watching it, because they were just as much as human as we were, but except they had powers, they could do certain things to the people. But wasn't it Poseidon that turned into a seagull and flew off
For a little while.
Isn't he the one that flew back and transformed back into a man?
I believe so.
Yeah, so I didn't know Poseidon could take form of different animals.
God,
And stuff.
he can do whatever the hell he wants.
And when he was underwater summoning the Kraken, his hair was blowing and stuff. I mean, you could tell he wasn't in the water, but the fact that they thought of that, thought about his hair kind of subtly moving and stuff like he was underwater. I thought that was, pretty ingenious. And the only thing I didn't like about the creatures that they did was that they were dry. Okay, you have like when Medusa's crawling around, which she was just really hideous, anyways, and ugly, as with the snake-like body, and she's pushing herself along in the dirt, but she had dry. Did you notice that she wasn't like
She looked
slimy like a
excessively
snake?
parched.
Do what?
She looked really parched.
Yeah, she looks very dried out. I think if they'd put Vaseline or something on the stop motion character, I think it would have been a little bit more detailed. But you know, for what they had at the time, I think it was really, really very inventive. And the way that they used the lighting in the little area, in the room that she was in with the fire going, and the it was like a tomb, like almost like what you would see inside of a pyramid. To
Mhm.
me, that's what it looked like when they were walking in there with the soldiers and stuff, and they were smart enough to take their shields and hold them to where they would look at her reflection and not actually look at her. So all that to me was really good, and the fact that they made her like a skilled archer.
Mhm.
I never would have thought of that. I never would have thought Medusa would need to have uh, shoot arrows when she could kill people with just looking at them. So I,
She can't use her gaze at like 4 miles away. So might as well be able
oh,
to hurt people at range, and maybe give her snakes and put a little venom on the arrowhead.
because that one guy she shot that fell, and he almost died instantly when he got hit with the arrow, but it was like in the back or something, so it wasn't like something I would think would be a mortal wound myself. But heck, maybe it had poison on her, or she just licked them or something because her blood was poison. So I thought that was really good. The way they set that up, the whole um, maze of them working their way through the whole temple, using just the firelight from the different torches. I thought they did a really good job on that, keeping it like very
Dim,
yeah, but not dim, but
ambient.
yeah, the lighting being so low that you really had to focus on where he was and where she was getting around, uh, to know whether or not one of them who was going to die or whatever. And I was always worried that what was the other guy's name that became friends with Perseus when he first went in the front gate and he was talking to one of the soldiers, and I cannot remember what his name is, but that actor, because they kind of had like a little bond going on, and uh, I was always worried that he was going to die, and when he did
Thallow?
die,
Thallow?
yeah, Thallow, that's it. He looked familiar. That actor looked very familiar to me this time when I watched it, but I still couldn't, I couldn't place him or whatever because it was a long time ago, and I was young when I watched it and stuff. So I really, couldn't place anything. Even Harry Hamlin, I don't even remember seeing him in much of anything after he was in this movie. So he just wasn't, a great big actor to me after he was in this movie. So I thought he was on TV or something, but I don't remember any big movies or anything with him in it.
LA Law, Mad
Yeah,
Men.
that was TV though. I'm talking about any big movies.
Eh,
I didn't look it up, but I was trying to remember if I remembered seeing him in anything, but I couldn't place him in any big movies after he made this movie because I think that um, uh, yeah, this just burned him out or something, to where he just wasn't, you know, didn't think it was that big a deal to have to go back and make another movie when he could do so well on TV. And he got married some good looking babe, didn't he?
yep.
Some famous actress. Can't remember what her name was.
So here's Clash of the Titans on Henry Hamlin's IMDb. This is the fifth thing he did. Okay.
Yeah.
And
But
then
what did he do before it?
before he did King of the Mountain, Studs Lonigan, a TV miniseries. He played Bill Studs Lonigan in 1979. And then he was Marmo in Taming of the Shrew, which I've seen that before. And it's okay. He played in the Hitchhiker TV series, Laguna Heat TV series or TV movie for Mickey's 60th birthday.
Yeah.
Another set of TV movies and miniseries. TV series, LA Law for 5 years. Batman, the animated series.
I don't remember seeing him in anything before I saw him in this movie.
He wasn't.
I don't
really
even think I ever heard of his name. I just never thought of him.
Before this movie, he wasn't well known. But after this movie, he was known well enough to keep a paycheck and a mortgage going. So, I mean, I'm not upset. I remember seeing him in Outer Limits. He was in Perfume. Shoot or Be Shot. I remember that. Not a good movie.
I don't remember it. I just remember seeing him on a couple of TV shows after this movie, and I always wondered why he just quit making movies. That's all I remember. But he did marry some really good-looking model or actress or something.
And then he played in God of War 2, and everybody had a fucking orgasm. Like, oh my God, they got Perseus to play Perseus. Ah!
God of War 2, is that a game?
It is a game on the PlayStation 2 back in 2007.
Oh, that's great. I mean, if he's making a steady income, I mean, off of being in one movie, I think that's really good. But he was just lucky, by the luck of the draw, to be in a movie that ended up becoming a hit, that made money. So not everybody gets that, because it's like one big blockbuster, a year maybe, if that. There's only been like very few in the last couple of years, hasn't there, movies wise that have been blockbusters?
Very few films lately. Very few. I'll show you the 3 women that Harry Hamlin has dated and married. Let's see. We'll start with the first one, Lisa Rinna.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one I remember.
Super smoking hottie. She was on Melrose Place. I remember her. Nicolette Sheridan. He was with her for a year, married.
Yeah. They married?
They married for about a year and a half, maybe.
I didn't think she was very pretty, but I guess most of the guys did.
Well, not there. Now she looks like a wine mom, like 4 boxes in. It's a Friday night. Don't you want to be with that? That's your stud, Andrew Jackson. Blah blah blah. Desperate Housewives, 2004. But there's Nicolette Sheridan, as I remember her, in a retro bait machine. Yeah, I remember that a lot.
Yeah, I remember. Isn't that Harry Hamlin right there?
Yeah, it's Harry Hamlin and Robert Davi and Nicolette Sheridan about the same time.
Yeah. I remember that show right there.
Deceptions.
Yeah.
On VHS. And then his last wife is Laura Johnson. How long did he stay married to her? Oh, my bad. He was with Lisa Rinna from 97 till now. My bad. The first.
Oh, he's still with her?
He's still with her. Laura Johnson is his first wife, and that lasted for 4 years. He was with Nicolette Sheridan from 91 to 92, almost a full year, September to August. Not a good run there, buddy. Need some blue pills? Lisa Rinna, I mean, I'm not going to say much.
I think it's Lisa Remy, isn't it?
Lisa Rinna.
Oh, okay.
Right.
I'm thinking of another actress.
Come on. There we go. And, I'm just going to say, out of all the ladies he married, that one there you want to put babies in.
Yeah, she was beautiful. That's all I remember. It's like, damn, she was good looking. And I never heard of her until she married him. So there you go.
Yeah. I mean, come on, guys. All right. I'll stop being a pig, maybe. Dude's like 70 years old, and he's like 60. He's got a 60-year-old wife who's still got a very edible stomach. Okay. I'm just going to say, and by the way, guys, if you like your lady, if you like the woman that you're with, just play the games a little bit with her and chew on the stomach a little bit, you'll make her happy. Anyway, yeah, Calvin he says, "Damn, Harry's older than I thought. He still looks good and picks closest to the present." Yeah, the dude has aged well, thanks to Hollywood surgeons. I didn't mean to be a pig, Janet. I'm sorry.
That's all right. I was blowing my nose again. Sorry, my allergies are just terrible today. Been
I'm glad
terrible.
you're not here in San Antonio. I was hacking up loogies on the third job I was on. That was bad. DM James asked me, Bruce, better than chicken and ketchup? Oh man, I
So,
go get some chicken and ketchup.
do you have a picture of Harry Hamlin with his wife? That's like
Let's see.
pretty recent, so I can see what he looks like. Somebody's saying I saw on somebody's saying he looks really good, and they look really good.
Yeah, for him being 70 years old, he's in 1951, baby. For him being that ancient, like, dude is held up.
Well, he looked like he had really good genes and he married a woman that has that same olive complexion, like Welsh or something. They've got that beautiful skin to start off. Both of them did, so I can see why they seem to age better. Like Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Here's him in 1995 at the age of 45 or 44. And here he is in 2022. He still looks fairly approachable. And I'm surprised this guy looks a lot like him.
Yeah, who is that guy?
That's Paul Wesley. And that's a show called Flowers in the Attic, The Origin.
And that's supposed to be his son in that TV movie.
I guess so.
Well, they did a good job casting him because he looks a lot like him.
This limited series tells the origin story of Olivia and Malcolm Foxworth and how dark family secrets shaped the Foxworth family from the very beginning. And this show stars Jemina Rupert, Max Irons, Tishawn Williams, Evelyn Miller, Peter Bramhill, Hannah Dodd, Alana Bowden, Kate Mulgrew. I didn't know these people. I know Miss Mulgrew because she did a hell of a Breakfast at Tiffany's impersonation for Star Trek Voyager. What do? And then you got Harry Hamlin and Jordan Peters and Buck Braithwaite. Yeah, this show looks boring as shit. No offense, but he still.
Well, I haven't seen it though.
He still looks fairly good for being 70 years old. I mean, a guy in his 50s would be happy to have a figure like that for the most part. I'm still fit and trim and have a V-shaped taper. This dude's 72 or 71. My dad doesn't have that. Guess I'm going to be a fat little Mario when I grow up.
There's lots of guys in their 30s today that don't look that good. I mean, fit wise. So, a lot of people just aren't into,
fitness,
taking care of themselves. Yeah. But I can definitely say that's one thing I remember about him and his wife. They were both into very healthy living lifestyles. I never remember hearing anything about either one of them, partying and doing drugs and, a lot of stuff like you hear today, going to the Viper Room and getting plastered and stoned,
Well, I mean, even the cast from this show that we're watching tonight.
Yeah.
Flowers in the Attic Origin. Yeah. That didn't appeal to me either. I'm looking through the information on the Lifetime Network. I'm good. My dad's 92. He's thinner but still in shape. Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of guys that are from the Boomer generation, they know how to keep it going, and they have discipline, unlike us Generation Xers. And just look at the cast from here. Here's some pretty people. You have Laurence Olivier, Harry Hamlin, Claire Smith played Hera, Claire Bloom played Hera, Maggie Smith was Thetis, Ursula Andress, who was like 40 years old when this movie came out, 45, and she's still smoking hot. Even in her 60s and 70s, Ursula could turn it on and make some 30-something just stupid. Jack Gwillem, he was always in at least fit shape growing up. Susan Fleetwood played Athena. God, she's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Pat Roach, this guy here, gentlemen, you got a young kid, you want to teach him some stuff. Pat Roach used to have some information on the web about how he stayed in shape throughout all the movies he did. He was a sergeant in Willow that Val Kilmer had to fight. He was in
Val Kilmer looked really hot in Willow.
Yeah.
With all that flowing hair. Swinging that sword. I thought he looked good.
I love you. You're fun. You're fun to hang out with, Janet. Thank you so much.
I couldn't help it. I thought he looked really good. Yeah, I mean, for that movie.
We're good. Here he is in Temple of Doom before he beat Indy's ass.
Oh, that was him?
That was him in Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
Here he is in Raiders of the Lost Ark before he got chewed up by a propeller.
Yeah. Yeah, big difference. I didn't recognize him in the other picture. With that beard and stuff.
Clockwork Orange.
Oh, that was a weird movie.
Eventually I'll watch it. I'm not in the mood to watch it yet. I need more drugs. Here he is in Willow. General Kale.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
I actually like that one a lot. He was in Call the Conqueror, but we won't talk about that. We'll talk about Hercules and Xena, but not Call the Conqueror.
Okay, I'm trying to remember where we were at. Okay. When the princess decides to go with Perseus on his quest to see the Stygian witches and stuff, I thought that was kind of like romantic, added a little more romance. The fact that two young hot stud and hot babe weren't going to sleep together on their journey. Somehow sneak into each other's tent or whatever. I thought that whole thing was so corny, looking back. But for some reason, when I was young, I guess I didn't think that there was anything wrong with that. But today I would say, yeah, there's no way I trusted them, without some kind of guards, and handmaidens all around her to protect her, because their whole city, you know what I mean? Their whole city, it was at the whim of whether she's a virgin or not when she's put to death. You know what I mean? So I thought that whole aspect of having because they're all over each other. They're in love and they want to be together, and and they're touching and kissing and all that. And so keep that from going any farther. I just don't see how they expected that to happen in real life. When you're trying to put that aspect into the whole thing, that them going along, and then they leave an old man with them while they go up into the cave. You know what I mean? I just thought that whole thing was kind of funny. But when she wakes up the next morning and he's gone to go get Medusa, and the fairy man was really, really good when they went to the island of the dead.
Yeah, I like the.
That was a freaking awesome costume. If I could figure out a way to make that, I would wear it. I mean, out somewhere or something, because that was just really creepy and scary. But it looked movable, like the mask and everything looked so real. It was just really phenomenal. I think you could win a bunch of contests if you had something that cool to wear, today. It, even, in today's market, I think it would have been really successful. But I thought that was really cool. Don't pay the ferry man.
This is Susan Fleetwood. She died in 1995 of cancer. She was 51. She played Athena in this movie, and she is just, as you can see, she was just gorgeous. That's the worst part about this stream, is that you start asking yourself questions, like when you're watching the various actors, like, oh, what are they doing now? Don't Don't look him up, kid.
Yeah, I didn't look up anyone. I waited until until everybody was after I was finished watching it before I started looking up anything. But it is sad. But what was so funny is that they interjected this why they did it, I have no idea, because putting in the owl, okay, the little golden owl that's a robot, basically.
You're saying nothing bad about Bupo.
Well, no, I'm just saying them putting him in there was almost just like for comic relief to me. And when but he does good things, he does good deeds, because his whole purpose is to help uh Perseus with his quest, and that's why he was specifically made for him. And like when he goes and he flies over and he gets the head and brings it to him at the very end, so that he could hold it up and kill the Kraken. But the whole story around the little guy, when he gets knocked over into the I was going to say the mountain, during that whole thing, when he's over there trying to fly around like a little buzzy bee, to give Perseus time to get there to pull out Medusa's head, and he gets hit and he flies into the mountain. You think he's dead, or broken or whatever. I remember kind of even this time getting a little knot in my throat, like I was gonna tear up, because I felt bad for him, and I also felt bad for Pegasus, because I thought Pegasus, he died sacrificing himself. Boy, she's got some lips on her.
Yeah, she does.
She looks like, that's what I was gonna say. She looked like that puppet from Sesame Street.
I like Janice.
Or not Sesame Street, for the Muppets.
I'm a fan of Janice, okay? And when I see a woman get this, I realize, like, okay, you're thinking you're on your last leg and you need to secure a guy. You're gonna play the cougar completely. Go for it. I would be surprised if
look at my lips.
Later.
My lips are pretty big, not as big as hers, but I've got some nice juicy lips with this whole get up that I'm wearing. But they don't look like I could suck chrome off a bumper. You know what I'm saying?
No, you're not peeling
or some sort of floor or something. You know what I'm saying? That's funny. But yeah, the whole owl thing throughout the movie, you rooted for him because he was quirky and cute and adorable, and at the very beginning, when Perseus first finds her, and or him, the little owl, and Andromeda goes to touch it, and his eyes spin and he makes that hissing sound like, get away from me, you bitch, I'm not here for you, I'm for him, or whatever. I thought that was pretty cool, because and he could understand every little click and whistle he was making, and how Burgess Marathon's like, you can understand what he's saying.
Really are blessed by the gods.
Yeah, but everyone would know it was a blessing from the god, because there's no robots, there's nothing like that ever that anyone's ever seen. So they knew it had to be from the gods, a gift.
Now,
in the first place.
I'm just going to interject. This is Lisa Arena back in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And she doesn't look like she got the like auto inflator cushions
Lips.
off. Yeah, this is in 2020, and that's Denise Richards. Still unsure if she has AIDS or not, but
she's the one that was married to
Charlie Sheen.
Yeah,
she was winning.
Yeah, that's something you guys can look up and see if you can find it or not. I saw a show that was talking about why she left Charlie, that she walked in on him having sex with a real doll that looked just like her.
Wait, you're saying that they can come and I need to dig out that address again. Now, hold on. Okay. Sorry, guys.
Well, you can get your dolls made to look like anything you want.
Yes.
So, which is perverted and sick, because I watched a documentary a while back. I think it was like 12 years ago, and it had little ones, like midget size, which I thought that was pretty disgusting, but I won't get into that details. But So the whole thing about after he kills Medusa and he chops off her head and then he wraps it in this red cloak, because that was one of the things that the Stygian witches said, that because he asked them about the poison, or because they said the blood was poisonous.
Yep.
And so he's like, what about the poison? So she said that if you use your red, uh, uh, what did she call it? Wasn't a cape. It was like a tunic. Your red tunic, it will protect against the blood, so that if you carry it or whatever, and you touch the bag or whatever, it won't be poisonous to you, because it will protect you. But when Calibus comes and he stabs it with that little prongy frog gigger, is what it looked like to me, what we gigging frogs with. Stabs it with that, and the blood drips out, and that's when the giant scorpions start to grow. For that whole scene, I thought that was so cool, because the only other movie I'd ever seen with something like that in it was that one I was telling Shadow and Sons I want to watch, the one about Sinbad, and it had creatures that would come to life, like skeletons and some other weird creatures. So that's what that whole thing reminded me of, that whole fight, which I really liked. Oh, and also we forgot about the two-headed wolf. Dire wolf was with
I love
two
that
heads.
two-headed wolf.
Yeah, at the opening when they were first going in to the temple where Medusa's at. And that's another thing to me. She was cursed with hideousness. Okay, but if she was sweet and nice, she could still lure men in, like what mermaids used to do with their singing or whatever else, and tell them to keep their eyes closed until the deed was over, and then she could take them out, like like the Black Widow, by just making them open their eyes or whatever. But to me, just killing everybody is just dumb in her part, when she could, who knows what kind of life she could have had instead of being by herself. But oh well, I'm thinking past that. But that was one of the things this time, not when I was young watching it, but this time watching it, I was like, okay, that was kind of dumb. If I wouldn't want to have an eternity by myself, it sucks. Being alone is not fun. Okay, let me see. We'll get back to this other part here. Okay, well, everybody's worried because you don't think he's going to make it in time, because Calibos and his henchmen or whatever kidnapped Pegasus, which was weird in the fact that he'd killed all the other flying horses. So why didn't you just kill Pegasus in that part when they threw the net over him? They could have killed him. I don't understand. That was another thing I was like, didn't understand why they didn't just get rid of it, because then there was no chance of him keeping it. Or do you think that maybe in the back of his mind he was thinking, well, if I kill this last one, Zeus is really going to do me in? So I don't know.
I think if you would have killed it, I think Perseus would not have spared him. I think Perseus would have availed every bit of rage he had. He would have venerated his anger and ventilated the lungs of Calibos.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering why Calibos, when he first went there to stop Perseus from being able to go, why he didn't just do it, because he could have just killed them and walked off. And Perseus, because when Pegasus was missing, nobody knew where he was. So what I'm saying is, in that part of the story, he could have killed it and took the dead corpse with him, and they would never have found Pegasus again. So I don't know, that as an adult watching that part, that kind of, I don't know, I had a hard time understanding why such a disgusting person, the creature or whatever you want to call him now, as Calibos, didn't just kill Pegasus in that one scene, because he was just black-hearted and evil. You know what I mean? So maybe he didn't do it because he did want Andromeda to not marry anyone, and he thought in the back of his mind he had a slight hope that if he didn't hurt Pegasus or whatever, that maybe Zeus would change his mind in the future. So I don't know. That would be some of the only reasons why I would think that he wouldn't have just got rid of him so that, because he'd killed all the other ones, so I don't see why he would save the last one unless he was, a fear of what would happen from Zeus after what he'd already went through and become a hideous creature that nobody would want to look at. So, but all that was, just little things that he did to keep Perseus from being able to get there on time. Because he really was a disgusting pig, because he didn't want her to be happy, which, if he loved her, he would, even if he couldn't be with her, he would want her to be happy. But he didn't. So he was selfish and self-centered, which proved it even more. Sorry, I got to blow my nose again. Oh, goodness, it won't stop running. And it's stuffed up at the same time. But, oh well. But then you're starting to panic because you're thinking that they're lining up, to take the princess to the water for the sacrifice, and they have her down there, and they have this huge entourage down there, and they're doing her hair and getting her all pretty, and then you got all the a bunch of the army down there and stuff like that, I guess, to make sure that she is put down there. If they're not able to get rid of the Kraken, to keep them from destroying the city, they'd have to stop anyone else from trying to stop from, the princess from being sacrificed to the Kraken. So I guess that's why they would have everybody go there the way they did in the movie. But when the Kraken come up out of the water, and knowing there's nothing there, okay, in real life, the way that Princess reacted and stuff, of the actress that did it, I thought she did a really good job, because there wasn't big green screens where they put marks or have a stick,
No.
With something on it that's moving around to get them to do it. So I thought she did a really believable job on that aspect. Now, another thing that was a little bit annoying for me was when Pegasus is flying in, and you've got Perseus sitting on it, and he's struggling to open the bag that he tied. I just thought that whole thing with him fumbling with it for such a long time, it seemed like it was very drawn out, and I don't know.
It took longer than I thought it would.
Yeah,
And I could see where they would want to make him look like he was infallible, or he could fail. He could possibly not succeed. And I wanted that. I wanted that. That's something that you want your characters to look like. They aren't perfect. And I think that was the reason why they had that so drawn out for this portion of the scene.
And then the part where, Pegasus gets hit, okay, and he falls off, and then the head goes into the ocean. That's when I was like, oh, it's over. The first time I watched it, because there's just no way. How is he supposed to get it? There's giant waves out there, and the Kraken's right there. There's no way he's going to get that head. That's why when the owl had got back up and was, getting his bearings, and then he saw, that the head was floating in the bag, that he flew down there and got it and took it and gave it to Perseus. So basically, the little owl's like a hero, So you're all clapping and cheering because he was so cute, and the fact that he was a hero too. He was brave to, after he got knocked into the mountainside, basically the rocky cliffs from the Kraken, and he still went down there again. Just showed how loyal he was to Perseus. And I thought that was a really good story arc for the little owl, mechanical owl, that was sent down there and made specifically for him, because she wasn't going to part with her real owl. So I thought that whole character arc for the little owl was really, really good. It was very, it wasn't as big, boisterous as it was for Perseus's quest, because really no one else in the story had that kind of arc. You know what I mean? Well, except for Calabas. His arc was to delay and destroy everything that Perseus was trying to do, so that the woman that turned him down wouldn't get any kind of satisfaction from anybody else, because she didn't deserve it, because she didn't like him anymore, because he was a hideous beast. So That was like the Beauty and the Beast aspect part of the story, but I still thought it was really, really good and very believable for that part of it. And the actor that did the actual hands-on part of the that you showed earlier that played Calabas when it
Mhm.
wasn't the claymation type motion stop action part, I thought he did really, really good. I mean, to me, he seemed very believable. Like when he takes your hand and he puts it on his cheek, and things like that. It was,
Neil McCarthy's amazing as an actor. Uh,
yeah, and you could tell with all that stuff on his face that he could still portray a guy in mourning, a person that basically he 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 didn't die personally, but his life died.
yeah,
His whole existence was just gone because Zeus was like, "F you for what you've done, and this is what you get. You're gonna live in the swamps. No one wants to see you because you're ugly, hideous, just like you are on the inside. Now it's on the outside, basically." So I thought that whole character arc for that character was is important as it was for Perseus's quest. So, and I felt sorry for his mother because, is her only child, and she loved him, and she spoiled him rotten because she's a goddess. I mean, why not? If you got everything and give your kid everything, you would want to, every Christmas get a brand new Xbox or whatever it is. That's what we tend to do. So I like that it had lots of human qualities in the Mount Olympus of all the goddesses and the Zeus and Poseidon, all of them, with the great powers that they had. It comes great responsibility, and they should have tried a little harder of trying to quell their selfishness. Is basically what, even though Zeus was very powerful in this movie, and he was capable of just grabbing all of them and crunching them like that if he wanted to. All the little characters that he had
right.
in, he could have done so much damage, but he didn't. He was a very even, tempered, uh, even though he leaned slightly towards what he wanted more than anything else, but he stayed out of stuff. He stayed out of most everything that was going on and let the people make their own decisions and stuff. And as long as they worshipped and built the temples and did the things that they were supposed to, then pretty much they stayed out of it and just threw in little tidbits here and there for the people that lived on the earth and worshiped them. So I don't know. I thought that whole aspect of all that was really good. I liked it, and it was very interesting. There was two men up there and all those women on Mount Olympus. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Think about it. So and he still had to go out and find other women. To see in the middle of the night or whenever his need arose. You know what I'm saying? So I just thought that whole aspect of all that was funny, and that added to the story. That's why I was shocked that Perseus was the only son he had, because it seemed like, that was like a normal thing for gods to do. The way, especially way the women were talking about, like henpecked women, in the other room that are pissed off because the guys are watching football and it's making all the noise and they're not able to do their thing. You know what I mean? So you had all the women bickering about Zeus, about how he's, able to do whatever he wants, but they still did what he said. They listened to him and didn't go against him because they feared him. So I just thought all of that was very important to the story for him to get to the part where he was, able to finish his quest. And when he was finished, the whole scene at the end when they're talking about what had happened, hold on, my arm got stuck, but I wrote a note about what they were saying, and it was, let's see, where is it? Okay, it says, Perseus has won, my son has triumphed. A fortunate young man is what his wife said. And then fortune, it says, uh, is allied to the brave. what a dangerous precedent. Okay, when these, all these gods are talking to each other. What if one day there were other heroes like him? What if courage and imagination were an everyday mortal qualities? See, I just loved it. Gave me goosebumps listening, and I kept rewinding it over and over again, listening to it so I could write it down. But it it's it's something we lack so much today in society. And it says, what would become of us, the gods? And he said we would no longer be needed. So he was, as the top god over all the people, he was the wisest one. If you listen to everything he said and how he said it and articulated it, to me, it was very believable that why he was Zeus, because he was smarter and understood humans more than the other smaller gods and goddesses did. And then it said, he said, but for the moment, there is significant, what's that word? Cowardice and sloth for them, for on earth to last forever, basically, is what he was saying. There is plenty of people that have courage and are willing to go out and do the right thing for someone else, sacrifice himself. But there's plenty of low-thumb pieces of crap out there, is basically what Zeus was telling them. So they would still always have something they would be needed for. So I just thought that was a really, really good ending for this movie, closing with the gods looking down and seeing the good deed that Perseus had done, him getting to marry Andromeda. And then that's when you see them putting the stars, into the sky in the different areas in the sky, named after each of the characters that you saw in the movie. So I thought that was, I just thought it was a very good ending for me. It was very emotional for me, for the few characters that made it, into the sky, for everything that they had done and what they stood for the people to be named, have areas in the sky named after them. I just thought that was very fitting ending for a movie about the gods, the clash of all of the biggest gods that we had at the time, when this supposedly happened. And I thought that was really good. But what do you think about the ending?
I really, I could have watched another hour of this movie. That's how I feel about it. They actually could have gone further and just made a whole trilogy of Greek god movies explaining various portions of the Greek mythos, and how everything comes to a cease within the mythology. They could have done that, and I would have been Calabus does not get a star. I'm sorry, but it's a very good film, and the way this ends, it's with a little bit of pomp and circumstance, and you have kind of like a Star Wars Episode 4 feel to it. And I think they were trying to get like Star Wars Episode 4 at the very end, where like all the heroes were together and they were celebrating, and there were medals going on. And then it goes into the aspect, where they talk about the astrology. And if you need the help of the Greek gods, you look up and find their constellation and you ask them, like whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that was really kind of cool, but I really would have rather, just said, all right, well, in 1983, we'll be ready for Clash of the Titans 2. And there's a remake that's out in 2010, and I've not seen it yet because I don't want to see it. I saw part of it in the trailer. They said, "What's this? Oh, look, it's a broken owl. It's just a piece of garbage." And I'm like, "Fuck you! I never watched the movie." You
Yeah,
know?
but see that like with the part where when they put Pegasus up in the sky,
Yeah.
even though he was the last of his kind, all the rest of them were murdered, but he was loyal to Perseus through the whole thing. Once Perseus was able to capture him and ride him around, like breaking a regular horse or whatever. But he was very gallant. He was a hero basically. So the fact that Zeus put, Andromeda out there, Perseus, Pegasus, and was it Cassiopeia
Yeah.
out there? It made them constellations for all to see for eternity. I just thought that was beautiful, poetic way to award uh, a never-ending life, basically. You know what I mean? It's like eternity. You get to live forever. Even though you're not amongst the people on the planet, you're now in the heavens,
And
for
you're
all to
taking
see
time with us.
forever. And I just thought that was just I remember liking that part of it when I was young, when I saw it, because it was so sci-fi-ish, I guess you'd want to say, as I love any shows or anything, the documentaries or anything that have to do with the stars, the solar systems, the different galaxies and universe, all that stuff. And it just, to me, it's so, the Hubble telescope, all the different things, the pictures that we're finally getting back, things like that. Uh, the whole aspect of the gods putting things out there, and you look up and you can see the belt of Orion, or you see the Big Dipper, and stuff like that, and it makes you believe. It makes you like look up and say, those things could be real. I mean, things like that could have happened in the past, and somebody, God made sure that their presence was known to us, even though we didn't know the story. But we know that there's something about that, the way that it looks in the sky, because it looks like a Big Dipper, or it looks like a person standing there shooting an arrow with a belt, things like that.
Yep.
It's really good for your imagination, and it helps you want to learn more about, the stories behind it. And I thought that was very good for that. I think that's one of the reasons why the director wanted to make it to where younger children could go by changing the script, because he wanted more people to bring their families, to bring their children, and to have that the imagination of one day maybe being a hero like Perseus, or something like that. So I just thought that whole the character, all the way around, character arcs for some of the characters in the movies, especially him, but even some of the gods, the facts and things that they had to learn, her about her son being spoiled rotten brat, and how she was punished along with her son by having to see him tormented and treated, really bad because of his hideousness. But he deserved it. She didn't do anything to keep him from doing those things. And, a lot of parents do that today. They turn the other cheek and look the other way, or, they could ground their kid or take their cell phone from them, or video games or whatever, for a couple weeks, listen to them whine and moan. But the next time when you say, if you do that again, I'm taking this, they'll believe you, because you did something. You made an effort to show the child the difference between right and wrong. Because now you got kids that, they just do whatever they want all day long. And when you have, children or people that have no punishment for their actions, what's to keep them from keep doing it?
Nothing, nothing
So
keeps them away from it.
that's why growing up and getting to watch movies about heroes and our place in the world, to try to protect the unfortunate ones, the weaker of us, to me, that is a virtue that I wish everyone would strive to have, because I think we should all look at others as what can we do for each other, instead of, oh, what can I get from them, or what can I take from that person. And I wish more people could do that. And I can't even imagine what kind of a planet we would have if more people felt like that. But that's why I love this movie. It's a movie that makes you want to be better. And I seem to have that. I do that a lot, don't I? Some of
Yeah.
the movies, even if they're not a really good movie, they still almost all have the same premise: a person that's willing to sacrifice for someone else something, whatever it is that they have, which it wasn't a lot. Perseus really didn't have a home. He was a prince of nowhere because it was destroyed. But uh he just had his name, basically his namesake. That was all he had. He didn't have a home, he didn't have a job, he didn't have anything to give his new wife. He was lucky because he was marrying into money.
Feels
She would
like it.
have, they're have to live in the castle for the rest of their life, but that's not a bad life for a young man who just went through all that to uh to get the woman he wanted, and he
That,
dreamed
that's
that.
better. That's better than marrying a woman your grandmother hates, and you have to move out of the country to be with her. And every time that your wife has a moment on a microphone, she starts spouting anti-racist diatribe bullshit. I'm not
Yeah,
talking. I wouldn't be talking about Meghan Markle. It wouldn't.
yeah,
I'm not talking shit about Meghan Markle. I would never talk shit about Meghan Markle. Meghan Markle is a treasure. She should never be talked shit about.
yep. She shouldn't, or we shouldn't.
I'm sorry. I talked shit about Meghan Markle. My bad.
Yeah, we shouldn't want her to go back to Canada and shut up.
I
She
would
did
hate for her to
something.
go back to Canada and just duct tape her mouth closed. I would hate that to happen. Um, Janet, we've talked for about an hour and a half, almost as long as this whole movie. We've discussed this movie.
Mhm.
You did something on Saturday you'd never done before. I got a chance to have you in my D&D game, and I loved it. How was your experience?
I loved it. I've talked about most of it all day today with my family and my friends about my character, things that I learned by listening to some of the other people and seeing their point of view with their characters. But now that I have money and stuff, I don't have a clue what I want to buy. But my book came in. I sent you a picture on Discord. Did you see it?
I did. Me
So
and Chris were both like, "Yay!"
So
So
it was
we're
I thought it was going to be a little, like this big
no,
book because it said it was a
digest
pocket
size.
size. Okay, it's
No,
what it
no.
said, but it's not a pocket size. It's pretty big and it's heavy. So I'm
Pocket
gonna
size
start.
means that if you're old enough to get AARP email, it's big enough to fit in your purse.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't have a purse that big, but it fit my mailbox. But I'm going to start going through it and seeing what I can find out about my type of character and what would be good for me. Because
Okay.
then you think that I might be able to figure something out in that handbook that help me spend that money
Yes.
or some of the money.
Yeah, it'll be in the back portion of it in the magical items section because you're going to look at things. And if you want to, just post your character up in the Terran Keld portion of the Discord and
Yeah.
let us know, hey, here's my character. What do I need to do? And don't be afraid to ask questions because you're brand new at this.
Oh,
So
yeah. I'm definitely going to ask. I mean,
uh,
even when I'm not brand new, I'm not going to be allowed to ask questions anymore.
you're going to be encouraged to ask questions all the time.
Okay, because
You might not get the
I don't know.
answer.
I thought when we all had discussions during the game and we discussed it amongst each other, I thought we did really good as a team. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to play is because I wanted to see us um, uh, think things out. How could we use each other to be successful overall? You know what I mean? And I think we did it. So I thought that was fun. That was the fun part to me is watching everybody come together to do that.
Elle says, "How did D&D compare to the movie, Janet?"
To this movie?
Yes.
Hmm. I don't think there's any comparison because it's two totally different things.
One of them was very sedentary, and you know it by heart almost, and the other one was a fly by the seat of your pants sort of thing.
Well, now that I've done it, I still think it's going to be fly by the seat of your pants because it's putting you right in the middle of something, and you don't know what is going to happen around you. It's like real life almost, you know. So it's just taking your character, like what Zeus just did, and picked up Perseus and moved him over here, or he was laying there almost gone, and he stood him back up. You know what I'm saying? So he
Yeah.
kind of that's what it's like. That part of it. Yeah. You get like we got teleported to another city and now we're there and we're going to try to figure out how to spend some of our money, but what will happen next? What's our next step? What kind of a chaos is going to arise? So that's the kind of stuff that's exciting about it. But to me, I don't know, the movie was good. It was exciting. It had lots of action and thought process that went in behind uh, Perseus's choices, you know, of why he made certain decisions. But the whole fact of him listening in on her nightmare, basically, because of the of having a Pegasus to be able to follow her, was the only reason he was able to finish that riddle about the ring he had on his hand. So in a way, it was like promoting cheating. So it wasn't because he was a super genius and he could think the you know, the thought process out of what the riddle actually was. He knew the riddle because he saw it when it was given to her or what it was. So I don't know. I thought that was kind of funny, but it was ingenious that he thought about doing that in the first place. Well, I need somehow to fly there so I can see what's going on and where she's going. So I thought that was a very good, very entertaining aspect of that part of the movie.
Calvinani says her family will show up next game during the next game for an intervention on Janet.
Hey, I mean, how long did we play? It seemed like
About 8 hours, six
it
to eight
seemed
hours.
it didn't seem like it to me. It was maybe might have been 4 hours. Now I was starving by the time we were done. I was like, God, I got to eat. I'm going to die because I was so hungry. And I only had to leave one time to go to the ladies' room, so I guess I did pretty good.
Not bad. Not
And it
bad.
was fun. It really was. Everyone was super nice, except Joe. Joe didn't hardly speak at all.
Joe can be quiet except whenever
Was
he's
it?
being cued to action.
Yeah,
And
but was it because of where he's from? I mean, he's overseas somewhere, and it was
he's in
really
Scotland.
late.
Yeah, he. We're going to get like a "how dare you" letter from his mother, like one of these days, where she's like, "I don't want you having my son up so late. Can't you run a game at like 5 in the morning your time so my son can get started at 11 a.m. and he could run for a good 7 or 8 hours before he has to go to bed?" I can see this.
Yeah, well, I can
Exactly.
understand it. That's what's so really cool though about it is the fact that you can play with someone on your team that's from across the world.
Yes.
You know, that you wouldn't ever have that opportunity. I mean, a lot of people that I've gotten to meet just online in different aspects of YouTube and Twitter and stuff like that, I never would have met if I had been born 100 years ago. You know,
Yep.
I never would have had any of these people in my life, even you. I don't think I would have ever met you or talked to you or anything if it hadn't been for the internet. So, uh, I don't know. I just think I'm glad I live in the time that I live now because I can't imagine what it'd been like. I mean, you wouldn't miss it, you know what I mean? Because you wouldn't have known what you were missing. And
We
that's
have
what's interesting
we
about it.
have a minor celebrity. He's a bigger celebrity than me in chat. His name is Zacharot315, and he has a really fun channel. If you're into pop culture, I know all of us are into pop culture, but this guy's got a real fun channel, and I'm going to post his link here because he was nice enough to just come in and say hello. I appreciate this.
Shadow said, "Not for me not to eat on camera because I was trying to eat that salad the other day because I was starving. I was so hungry, but I didn't feel comfortable getting up and leaving during the game because I would miss something." It's funny though. Yeah, I will definitely have munchies available, like little bags of Rice Krispie treats, or some chips, a few things like that. Maybe some cheese. I love cheese and pepperoni. You can nibble on that. Yeah, I'll be ready with snacks next time. But it was fun. I enjoyed it.
I'm really happy that you got into it, that you got into the game and you started to play with us. I'm really excited about it.
I just hope I can absorb the information better than I think I'm going to, because I'm just not. I've never been really, really smart about something. I've had to study like 10 times more than other people, because it's just hard. It's like I got like a lead shield that covers my brain. A lot of stuff doesn't penetrate. So that's going to be the hardest part for me. That's one reason why I wanted the manual or something, so I could start reading it and try to absorb more, so that when something does happen, I can do something. Like after we were done, I was thinking about what we had done in the game, and then I remembered the giant holes that were in the side of the wall. I had couple spells that I could fix the holes in the wall, and I never even knew I had it, because I was slowly going through and reading some of the different spells, and I had a way of fixing at least part of the holes, but I didn't even offer it because I didn't even realize I even had that. So it's going to be nice. It's going to be nice to understand a little more about what my capabilities are and what I have to offer. That will be fun, a learning thing for me, which I'm excited about, because I thought it was fun.
I'm really happy for
Didn't
you.
use my imagination. And I think the whole aspect of having the big grid out there and you moving the stuff around and kind of giving us a visualization of what we're in the middle of and what we're going to be doing, I thought that was really smart.
Thank you. That's actually how the game is mostly set up. It really is set up to be mostly like that. I've got to say that I've been blessed with a good group of players. I mean, for the most part, I'm really happy with the guys I've got. I wish we all had the time to spend more with each other, but that doesn't happen as much as I'd like it to.
Yeah. Well, everybody has lives and stuff, so you have to work around it. But just getting together, every couple weeks, that's a lot more than a lot of people get to do.
Like I called Zachariah 315 a celebrity. I call him that because he's been on a few panels. He's been on a lot of other channels. And he just seems like he's always where I'm at. I'll just say that. But
Yeah.
I'll get his channel up here in just a second.
Yeah, they're telling me that next time I just got to tell you, hey, I got to get something to eat.
Yeah, just say that and mute your camera.
Yeah, I'll have a Reuben in the refrigerator. That's a good idea. I'm trying to read some of this stuff because I'm slowly learning, because when I first did it on my first live stream, I kept getting disconnected because I was trying to do it and I was doing it wrong, clicking on stuff. Yeah, Reubens are good. I can't wait to have one. But yeah, I had fun. But this is what I was talking about for Halloween and different movies that we have and stuff. If I can come up with something to wear, I just thought it would be fun. And I had this pin that when my grandmother died, she gave me this owl pin because she has lots of brooches and stuff. And I thought, oh, I'm going to put that on in honor of the little, is it Bobo or Bilbo?
Bubo.
Is that how you say it? Well, that's why I wore it. Even it's turquoise. This is a little turquoise and silver. It's not golden, but I thought I'm going to wear that. And then I had this headdress because this goes with my my belly dancing outfit. So you put it over here. It's for my belly dancing outfit. So I thought I'll wear that over my head.
Jen,
I had this angel outfit. See, it's for
that's a white blouse earlier. I like that.
So it's a tunic, and I have a little halo and stuff to go with it.
I need to be absent off camera and microphone for about 2 minutes.
Okay.
And I've got a messenger coming up, or a delivery guy coming up, but I'll be right back.
Well, if anyone in the chat wants to talk to me about what they thought about the movie, if you've seen it, I would like to hear what you have to say, or read it. I will read it out loud. But uh, I thought this movie was very good, and it brought back lots of memories from when I was younger, and I got to watch it about. Um, our imagination of what's up there, what's out there in the cosmos and what's going to happen to us when we're not here anymore. So I thought that was this was a good movie on that part of it, and why every single continent on the planet Earth has had some type of deity, God, or spiritual, leaders that would come out of it. And why is that? There has to be something to it if every country that wasn't even connected had something like that happen. You know what I mean? So that's why I believe in something for sure. I mean, I'm a Christian, but a lot of people aren't. But we all have something that we believe in that pulls on us and wants us to do good, for ourselves and for others. So that's one reason why I really like this movie, and I'm really glad I got to watch it again, because it just opened up so much again that I felt like was lacking in my life, for the aspects that you get out of it, because it makes you sit down and think about where you are in your life when I don't know, we get to a point in our lives with so much, bull crap going on, that you get a loneliness, like you're helpless, like there's things that just nothing you can do about certain things, but there really is. And just by talking about it to someone else, you might, a little switch might go off in their head, and they're like, hey, I can do this. I can go donate time at the battered women's shelter, or I can go and work at the soup kitchen, or I can go get and clean my back room out and donate these clothes. So every little thing that we can do in our own community is going to help someone else, even though it's not hurting us. If we had some old pants that we don't fit, we can't wear any more shoes, and we could take them to give them to somebody that does need them. We're each doing our part and helping. So I wish all of us could do that. So give me a second. I'm going to try to read, because I'm not very good at reading and talking at the same time. And no, I'm not really blonde. So, okay. Yeah, talking about Burgess Meredith. Yeah, it is all connected. I think it's all connected. Favorite Martian. Trying to remember. I don't remember that show. I remember my mom talking about a show called something Martian, but I don't remember anything about what it really was or who was in it. Yeah, that's one thing that the only thing to me that really took away from this movie was the fact that it didn't have CGI, and they had to use the stop and go motion for the creatures and stuff in this movie. But without that, I still think if they'd replaced that with some type of CGI for the creatures, I still think it would have been an excellent movie. What is that? Morning Reaper?
Yep, this is a medium roast coffee blend. I just threw a link in the chat for those people that want to try this stuff. I can get a discount for you. Not a big discount, but 10% off is 10% off. And this is a really good coffee company out of Punta Gorda, Florida. And I've talked with their CEO a couple times now. And this is my favorite blend of coffee they do. I get a new blend every month of coffee. And I also get this on subscription order. This is one of my favorite coffees I've ever had. And I'm just telling you that because I've only tried about 70 to 80 different coffees. And this one here is the one that, like, I can suck on this bean and stay awake on bad days where I'm like just tired. You guys know what I'm talking about. When you're dipping coffee beans, you dip the coffee grounds. If you're falling asleep at your job, you've been there for 24 to 36 hours and you're just like, ugh. Once this shift is over, me and my pillow are going to get really snuggly. And you know what I'm talking about. Some of you really understand that. This is the coffee that I did that with about a year and a half ago when I had to do that. But I recommend this coffee so hard. check these guys out. They are a vet-owned company, and they're not like a certain other black coffee company. They actually take care of their people. Anyway.
All right.
Janet's gone for the moment.
And let's see what the guy said here in the film. Covered some cool adventure tropes.
It touched on myth and had some good writing that had a lot of films in the last 20 years seemed to replace with special effects and specific scenes instead. It really did that. They did not improve their filming techniques from 1981. A lot of us have regressed, and we allow mediocre movies to take the place of treasured movies from the golden age of film.
Yeah, simply because it has a way better effects or something like that. But I'm thinking even if they took out the stop motion and put in CGI to update the movie a little bit and left the rest of it, I still think it would be really, really good. Because it won't be a remake. It's just that they're updating it a little bit. But the acting and the people they had as the characters, to me, are what made this movie the success it ended up being at the time when it came out, because of the combination of the people working together. I thought they did an excellent job portraying their characters and making you want to see them successful.
I agree.
But I love getting dressed up. I was so excited. I was like, I can't wait to get something out of my bags, because I got tons of costumes and stuff, and I never get to wear them anymore. Because I don't do anything. I don't go anywhere, unless I'm, on a job or something like that where I might need something. But that's why, I just love it when I can't wait till this stupid, everything gets back to normal and they don't have to do any of this, the China stuff.
You don't want the short Italian that's ruined the CDC for 4 decades.
No.
To ask you if you've had your inoculations.
Have you had your boosters?
Yeah, I haven't had anything like that. Not one. And I haven't had COVID. So I even had a blood test done one time, and it was negative, because I wouldn't let them stick anything at my nose. I won't use one of those kits. So I'll have to take my blood if they're going to test it. Because I've had my own friends that have used those little kits that they've brought in and tested it on furniture and other items that have come back positive. So it's pretty funny, I think, but I'm not going to waste my time on it.
Zach Rout doesn't really have content, but he will be in channels and he will be in chats and he will be in panels from time to time. If I remember him the way I do, I mean, he's everywhere I've been here lately. The past month, like there he is again. Love Zach Rout.
I'm trying to read. I'm not very good at it.
What do you want to read?
I'm just reading the different things that people are writing on this. I didn't even know that that's what this was. It's just been recently, like the last 3 or 4 streams, that I realized that besides the private chat, you could read what the people were saying in the rooms. That's why I've always had my phone, trying to read what people are saying in the chat, and not knowing that that's what the comment section part was backstage. See, I'm still learning.
It's okay. This was a really fun movie. I recommend this movie to anybody that they want to see some classic techniques. They want to have actors that are distinguished, that have proven themselves again and again. And in this case, they do a fantastic job of creating a movie that would be at home at a matinee in the 1950s, the 1930s, and definitely in the 1980s. Even though people said it was more of an old school film, it really was a very good.
But it did have the feel. It did, to me. It had the feel of the big grandioso movies they made, like Ben-Hur, and the Ten Commandments and things like that, that my mom had on I guess those VHS tapes or whatever that we would watch, like on Sunday after church or whatever, we would watch movies. And because we only had a couple channels or whatever when I was young, I remember that. And that's what it reminded me of. And I was really shocked when it first started, when it said Metro Golden Mayer on it. I was like, I didn't even know they made movies anymore, but I forgot, this is from the 80s. So I was like, oh, okay. Because I don't think they make movies anymore. Didn't they stop making movies? Or do they? MGM?
MGM still does some things.
Yeah,
I
but
think
not
they're
as much
trying to
as
be
they
a
used
streaming
to.
network.
But the whole thing is, this movie, if you have a kid or a niece or nephew that has to do a report, or some type of report for school about the Greek gods, or a story about, finding a story about that, this is a perfect story for them to write a report about. Yeah,
This,
that's a good one.
this is my pick for next week's review.
Okay.
I
That's a
love
good
this
one.
movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I
This
haven't
came
seen
out.
it in a long time.
You're going to see some people that haven't changed much, and I'm talking about you, Patrick Stewart. I love this movie. I think this is one of the greatest films that they exposed us to, and we watched this movie probably every 2 years from middle school through high school, because I had a bunch of nerds that were English teachers. So it was either this, or it was the HBO or Playboy version of Hamlet, and it was just amazing. I can't wait to talk about this film. This is that I was flipping through my DVD. I'm like, okay, I got to stop looking at just digital media and copying stuff off the web. I know I have this in somewhere, so I pulled out the physical media tonight.
Well, good, because that's what I do. I try to find the actual DVD so that I can watch it, and then I can watch the outtakes, and then I can rewind and all that stuff, which is not as easy
I I
online
I,
if you can't find
I will
the
have to show you my ways, but I I I love this film, and this is what we're going to watch next week on the 26th of September. That should be a Monday. I hope it is. It's the 19th now. Yeah,
Yeah, I'd have to look at
my financial math is right. Okay. Calvin on, he's like, oh, look, my DVD porn collection. Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't help it. This is like one of those movies that we have to talk about it. We're talking about fantasy films.
Yeah, and I never even realized it when we start cutting it up into sections of different types, like sci-fi, horror, drama, comedy, like that. I've been really surprised how many movies there are in the different sections. When you break them down and you specifically look for a certain type of movie, I've been really surprised about how many actual sci-fi fantasy movies are out, things like that. Because I was like, there's so many to choose from. It's really, really hard to just pick one.
Well, I have to say that we have only 4 weeks in September. September, I wanted to be our fantasy film month.
Mhm.
October, we're going to be doing a horror. We haven't figured out November yet. We'll figure that out when that gets around. We could do really bad family movies until January 1st if you want, because November through January is like, that's the cuffing season. That's where you get dragged around by your significant other, and you're forced to endure everybody in their life and how they knew this person since they were in diapers, shitting all over the carpet like a turkey. And
Yeah.
we could have an 8 to 10 weeks of just crappy family films where we have to watch things like that.
Oh, I don't know if I want to put myself through that or not.
I know. Either that, or we figure out a theme for November. I'd be happy
Well,
with
for
it.
December, we definitely have to do Christmas movies. That's what I
Wait,
would think.
is Die Hard 2 a
That's
Christmas
a Christmas movie.
Okay.
If it's
We
got
got 2
Christmas
weeks.
trees in it, if it's got Christmas trees, or they're playing any kind of Christmas music, then that should be a Christmas movie, I think.
That makes me so happy.
Well, that's what I agree with you on that for sure. Just like that Home Alone movie, that to me is a Christmas movie.
Yeah. The other film I was thinking about, I didn't know if I was gonna do this one or not.
Oh, yeah.
Are you familiar with this?
It's been forever.
Okay, never mind.
The thing is, though, I wanted to ask, where would Rocky Horror Picture Show fall into this genre of movies to you?
That's almost a family picture because you force somebody to go to a theater and they parade around with people they might see once a year. That's
Yeah.
almost a family outing right there.
Or it could be a rock opera,
Yeah.
like Tommy and the Who.
Yes.
There's quite a few of those out too, so that might be good for November.
I'd be okay
If
with
you
that.
don't have anything in it, so I was just throwing it out there
Sure.
so you can think about it. But yeah, I had fun with this movie. I was excited about it. I took lots of notes. I had a little bit of interesting, backstories about different things, like the bad uh, commentary given to the movie by all these pros that think that they know better than us, but they're not any better now than they were back then. I mean, for some reason, if the pros say that it's a shitty movie, I'm going to go see it because it's going to be good, and it still works. I mean, sometimes you might have one or two that say, "Oh, that movie was really good," and praise it, and then you go see it, and hey, it was pretty good. But most of the time, like they'll just bash it.
This is one of my favorite movies because it puts an end to an era to the ultimate test. It makes completely it totally invalidates this thing they have on TV now called Picard.
Oh, yeah, I haven't watched one episode of that, and I'm not gonna.
Good girl. You're winning. You're winning.
Well, I just try to listen to what other people say. I mean, I'm not saying I every single thing people say means it's real, but I listen to different people and then I put it together and I compare what each of them have said about certain things. And I'm like, yeah, there's way too many leaning in the wrong direction for me to be interested in watching it. So even if somebody tells me a lot of details about a movie, if it's a movie that I think is going to be good, I'm still going to go watch it, and it doesn't ruin it for me. But if there's a lot of details and it sounds really shitty, then I'm not going to waste my money, because you can get it later on when it's free on one of your streaming systems,
Exactly.
Yeah, she's a real pretty gypsy girl. Is that what she is? A gypsy dancer?
Yeah, just a dancing girl. I have a serving wench. They came as a pair.
From the back, she looks like the little doll that was in my little wind-up jury box.
Aw.
I mean, that's a little bit. That's what she looks like. I haven't had that in God. I don't even know if you can even buy those anymore.
I'm almost done with this character right here. We're about to unleash the hatred to Star Trek. Zachariot starts off, "Lower Decks is crap."
Yeah, I haven't watched that either. I heard so many bad things about it from my friends that are like that. Really, oh damn it, Janet. Yeah, that's right. But what's funny? Every time I've gone, I've almost always wanted to be. I went one time as Columbia to one of the parties because I love doing Rocky Horror Picture Show for Halloween. A Halloween party. And then I went most of the time as I like Magenta. That's the character I like to play. But I have gone as Janet and just wore a slip, run around screaming or whatever. But Magenta is my favorite character from Rocky Horror Picture Show. I think she's
wait till they have
awesome.
another showing over here, and I'll go to it.
Because I bought I've got a couple of boxes, boxed movie sets, and I have the record album I've been able to collect. with the actual thing. I have the actual movie poster from Rocky Horror Picture Show. I have the hat that Columbia wore. And if you pay attention, when Columbia's in that one scene where she's wearing those pajamas at the beginning when they're painting each other's toenails and stuff, her and Magenta, when she stands up and she pulls her shirt down, there's a hole in the front of it and her nipple pops out of it.
Yep.
So I don't know. A lot of men go, "What are you talking about?" I go, "Just go back and watch it again." They're like, "I didn't even notice that." I just thought
I've
that
noticed
whole
that
thing,
for a long time.
because I had a
As long as
friend that
me.
bought pajamas like those, male pajamas with the stripes, and cut a hole in it just so that she could do that when she got up on the stage as Columbia's character. So yeah, she was adorable. I just thought it was great. I mean, you can't help but want to sing along. And I loved taking my friends that had never seen it and getting them a goodie bag made up to take them to as a virgin to see a Rocky Horror Picture Show after I was first introduced as a virgin. I thought that was a freaking phenomenal show. And if you got a good group of people in the audience, it can be so much fun. And we always would rent like the United Rubber Workers building or something like that. We with the Junior Chamber of Commerce, we would rent a room, or a big enough room where we could have one of those screens that you pull up, and project a projector screen or whatever, have the movie, but we have all the bags. The people would dress up, and we just make a party of it. And there'd be rice and cards and newspaper and water guns and just everything you'd need, and hot dogs, just everything. And it was so much fun. And we'd have rubber gloves so you could snap them, just all the little details to interact with this movie. It's just so much fun. Because sitting and watching it is good, but getting to interact doing it is even better when you get to do it that way. It's so much fun. And to me, when I first saw it, the very first time, someone picked me up to take me to a midnight viewing at the mall. And I remember driving up and I'm looking around going, what the fuck is this person trying to take me to? Excuse me for saying that word, but that's exactly what I was thinking. And I was like, I am not getting out of this vehicle. That's all I could think. But then I went in, and then we go in and we sit down. And I'm in one of the front rows, but to the left hand side, and all these people parade in their fishnets and stuff down the middle aisle, and they go up on the stage. And they say, okay, we need all the virgins up here. And I just sat there. I didn't say anything. And they pointed at me. And I looking around, and I whispered to my friend, I said, how do they know I'm a virgin? And I had no idea. I didn't understand any of it. And then I get up there and they form a big circle around all of us, and they're joining hands. Did you get to go see this at the theater like this?
Drive-in.
Okay, well, it's a big circle and they're holding hands. All the characters are going to be up there singing and dancing, the time warp dancers and stuff. And they got their hands joined and they start singing. They say, give me a cue. And everybody's Q, give me another Q. And they do it 4 times. And they say, what does that spell? 4Q. Okay, you can sit down. You're not virgins anymore. Like that. They just did all this interactive stuff. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun. And if I could take anyone that hasn't seen it, it's just like taking one of your friends to the male strippers. Okay. They've never seen it, they've never been to one. You've never seen it. It's almost as much fun to watch a newbie be entertained by a movie like Rocky Horror Picture Show and doing all the stuff as it is seeing it for the first time. I can't explain it. It's to me, I think I've seen Rocky Horror Picture Show like 50 times in a theater or at a special party or whatever, with the goodie bags and all the good fun stuff. And it's so much worth it if you can take somebody and watch it, because I can't even, because my name was Janet. That was one reason why people would always want to drag me to one, because my name was Janet. So, but I didn't understand it the very first time. I had no freaking idea what it was. And I thought I was going to some kind of porn party or something. I didn't know what it was, but it was scary at first. But once I did it, I became addicted and hooked. And it is I love Halloween. I would go to see Rocky Horror Picture Show every weekend in the month of October. I mean, no problems. I would try to make sure I had my calendar open to go do it just because it's so much fun. And I'd be hoarse the next day from shouting and screaming and yelling and singing, it's fun. And I know I'm a freak, but I can't help it. Sorry. I'll shut up.
You're good. That. Listen, there's nothing wrong about enjoying something and doing your life's business where you can be fungible and you can afford to go and take care of this enjoyment you have, and you can do that and you're not hurting yourself. You're not running somebody through the ringer, because it's hurting the two of you. That's awesome. Okay. I think
Oh, Shadow and Son, he said he got to go see Elvira.
Yeah.
If that's what it says on there, I've never got to meet her, but I think she's freaking awesome.
I used to be a big fan of hers. I'm not gonna lie.
But I mean, I would never have gotten to see her, but I can see her going to cons and things like that. I bet she does.
She goes to a lot of conventions, a lot of Comic Cons, from what I heard. I don't follow Comic Con, so that's
Well, I've been to Wizard Con. I've been to all these different types of cons. Pretty much they're all the same. They're run the same way and stuff, and they just have different characters and people that get to go to them. Because I went to one specifically to get to meet people from The Walking Dead, different ones like that. So it just depends on who's going to be at it, which ones I try to go to.
Well, tonight we had a really good showing. I wanted to say thank you to everybody that came by. Janet, do you have any final words on Clash of the Titans that you'd like to discuss?
Yeah, I think everybody, if you haven't seen it or you know somebody in your family that hasn't seen it, that you need to try to encourage them to sit down and maybe watch it with them. And I think to see the joy in their face, and they might laugh a little bit, especially the young kids today that are so used to CGI and stuff. But if they're at all remotely interested in anything to do with the old gods and stuff, Greek gods and things like that, I really think they would enjoy this. And you could even do this, get them to dress up and have like a little get together with the young kids learning about it in school, if they still do that. I mean, I remember doing it in school, and make a party of it. And then you can do this little trivia game at the end for prizes, letting them answer questions to see whether, if they know the answers from something that happened in the movie about the different gods and what their deeds were and stuff like that. That would be fun.
I recommend anybody that enjoys fine cinematography to watch this movie. If you like classic special effects, if you want to see some amazing actors in some good classic garb, and they portray their work as if they were doing a Shakespearean play, I think you're going to love this movie. This is one of my favorite films. All the Harryhausen films are in my top 50. Okay, Argonauts, Jason or Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger, all those are in my top 50 because of the rewatchability. And I know that sounds weird because some people are like, "Well, Equilibrium's really good." Not really. I'm not a fan. I used to be a fan, but when I started looking at movies with okay, why are you speeding up all the combats here? This movie here, as hokey as combat is, they did a good job. They really, I mean, I wouldn't be able to do better unless I had $40,000 available for the prosthetics, for the blood splatter effects, for the right squibs. I would need money to do better than Clash of the Titans. Just understand that. And I'm not getting into the special effects or movie making business. We were talking about that on another stream, and I would love to. I love miniatures. I would love to do the prop design for the such like this. This is badass, and that's why
I definitely thought so too.
That's why I brought Janet in my D&D game, because I thought she would just enjoy the shit out of it. And I've got the DVD, Shadow and Son. I thought that this movie has inspired so many dungeon masters to run their own campaigns, and it does a amazing piece for giving you some real inspiration to go dive in some encyclopedias, to dive into some old Greek history and
Hmm.
mythos, and figure out, okay, who's Minos? Why is Zeus having sex with every fair maiden there is? What's going on with Aphrodite? What
Because
what
he
is
can.
yeah? So um, I hope that right now we're in the middle of like our comfort month. This is September. We're in
Mhm.
fantasy month. Me and Janet love fantasy films. This
Mhm.
is what we our bread and butter and our meat, my meat and potatoes. But I'm just saying that we're gonna watch some weird films here starting next spring. You'll see a more eclectic tastes. We'll get back into more of the World War II stuff that you don't see often on WGN or USA Network. You're gonna see a lot of stuff pop up on our watch list, and I'm gonna invite you guys to check these things out because we're gonna talk about them. I want to do deep dives on things. I want to talk about the cinematography, and this movie does a great job. They have some interior
Mhm.
sets that you saw here, and they have some wide sweeping shots of the Mediterranean that are just to die for in this movie. And there's not a single part of this film. Oh, I didn't know that, Cal. Happy birthday to you for September. But this film here is absolute just top tier Harryhausen, and you're doing an amazing service to your family. If you
Mhm.
have family that hasn't seen this yet and they like the old films, sit them down, let them watch this.
But every kid that I can remember, every kid's had to build some type of model for school, of a house or a building of some sort. So, basically, the cities that they destroy of Argos, and there's another one, I can't remember the other name right this second, but the pillars that they built and you stacked on and the water hits it and they kind of click, 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 fall over, things like that. I mean, I had to build a giant volcano and make it erupt. And then I remember making the little trees and the little buildings, along the side of the mountain so that the stuff would go down and destroy it and stuff. It's fun. I mean, all that kind of stuff is fun. And this is what this type of movie does. It makes your imagination work, to where you in your mind can think, oh, I could make a movie like that. I could build this and I could do that. And I could have the water flow over the side of it. And I could do this, that, and the
Should.
other with the creatures attacking the city and things like that. So it does open the imagination. And anything to me, that's what we've lost in the movies now, is that if it isn't have every single thing put up there for you, then you're not interested, which is
Mhm.
sad because when
Horrible.
you get to use your imagination, it brings it to more to life. And then guess what? You're going to have a dream about it. And you're going to add even more great, wonderful, cool things in your dreams. But that's why I'm doing this with you, is because I like the thought of us being able to maybe get one other person or two other people every time they watch one of your videos on your channel and they're like, hey, I never even see this movie. I never heard of it. I'm
Do
gonna
a
I'm gonna
reaction video.
watch it. Yeah,
Do a reaction video.
and
Do,
that
do
and that's good. I mean, if to get these out there to let the younger people that have, that weren't even a speck in their or twinkle in their dad's eye when these movies came out, I think it's good because anytime you can get someone else in there to see it, something a totally different out of their realm, you know, like I've watched what 6 or 7 movies I've never even seen
okay.
simply because you suggested me to watch it and I'm like, "Whoa, that was really good," or "Wow, that was different." Just like you and the Lars and the Real Girl. You had never seen it before. So or just one of the guys. I don't know if you'd seen that. I mean, I'm just saying you don't know what you've missed unless you get to see it. And even if you don't like it, you're still getting something out of it
You
if
get
you
something out of
pay
it.
attention
Even the
to it.
films I've not really super enjoyed, like The Cowboy Way. There's still some really
Yeah,
good
I
cinematography in
I
that
was
movie.
surprised how bad it was, but that's the whole thing about doing this is the fun of finding out what it was like from then and watching it again now, and the total changes of our environment and how it affects our thought
And
process
I'm,
on
and
the
I'm
movie.
trying not to look at things in the 2022 context. I'm just trying to look at it in the context of I'm an older guy.
Mhm.
I'm not a spring chicken. I'm in my middle ages area, and I'm okay with that. And I'm wanting to make sure that like something I watched in 1983 as a child, I want to make sure that it hits me in a at least as positive way, or maybe there's a multifaceted aspect that I must dive down and maybe watch it 2 or 3 times, because there's been a few movies we've watched on here that I've had to watch twice or 3 times to
Mhm.
actually get everything out. Like Victor Victoria had
Mhm.
so many good spots, and the one thing we never talked about is the last scene of that movie. Poor Preston.
Yeah.
Poor
He
he sings
loved
that
it.
song. He sings this song at the end of the movie, like he's the dame
Oh,
what
Seville.
of Seville. Yeah,
Yeah.
and he does that in one take.
It was
He did that
awesome.
in one
Yes.
take. He's suffering. He's ill, and he's feeling like crap, stumbling
Yeah,
all
in
over
real life.
himself in
Yeah,
the
in real life.
stage, and he's just miserable. But he's gonna soldier through this. This guy is from the Peter O'Toole class of bastards that we don't have in
Yeah.
Hollywood anymore. Like
Mm-mm.
Peter O'Toole. Listen, here's some guys that you want to watch. Get some Peter O'Toole movies, some Oliver Reed movies, and some what was his name? God dang it. Centauri in Last Starfighter.
Yeah.
That guy.
Yeah,
So
I can't
he was in
remember.
the Sound of Music and Victor Victoria.
Uh-huh.
So he those 3 guys are from this acting mentality that we just had a party last night and we were drinking till 6 a.m. and we had to be in makeup at 7. So we
Mhm.
stumble from our trailer after we get in uniform without a lick of sleep, and we get into makeup and we're there and we're in pain. But now we're going to just soldier through the next 8 to 12 hours and we're going to make this film. And these guys are hurting throughout the direction, throughout the creation of a film. And they learned how to do this. They got good. And they had a mentality that if I party tonight, I must be an adult tomorrow morning and get to
Yep.
my job. And you don't see that in any vocation nowadays.
Mm-mm.
How many of you have acceptable sick days or have acceptable excuses at your job? Or maybe there's like a sacred cow that he's got 3 or 4 DUIs that your boss just lets him wander in whenever he wants to, and you're there like popping your knuckles, like one of these raging motherfucker, I'm going to stuff you in a goddamn garbage dumpster and they're going to haul your ass off. And we don't have an environment nowadays that punishes poor behavior with, well, you obviously had a good time yesterday and you could pay for it with your body, but you have to pay that toll today at the regular time that you'd be working. So you
Yeah.
don't get to sleep in, you have to go to work. And we don't have enough manliness in our culture nowadays to step on kids' toes and say, be uncomfortable, you little shit bomb, and you better go to work. Sorry.
Mhm.
Didn't
No,
mean
it's true. I
I've,
mean,
I've been
I
facing this
I
my
had
job
4
for 6 months.
sisters, but we each had to have a job every summer, babysitting, working at the chicken plant, raking, mowing, whatever it was, to make money because we had to buy for our own annual. We had to buy our own dress for any dances or anything like that because my parents weren't rich. So, but we did it, and I worked every summer, and I saved money. And when we bought an annual or a senior ring or anything like that, you took care of it
And had to
because you
really
had to
care.
work your ass off to get it. But kids today, they don't even do anything. They get an allowance and they didn't do anything to earn it.
What'd you do?
So
Did you
I
take
don't
out the
know. I don't.
garbage like you just like did your normal shit that you're supposed to do?
Yeah,
Because you
like
you
clean
pile
up the
things up in the
table and
garbage.
wash the dishes and mop the kitchen and all that stuff. We clean the bathrooms. We had to do all that stuff. We had to do chores.
Yeah,
And that was what was expected on top of us doing our homework.
yeah. You got to do that plus. There's
Yeah.
things
So
plus.
So
We
don't
didn't
forget.
get an allowance. We were allowed to be able to breathe and get up and go outside and play. So that's how I grew up with my parents.
Janet,
But thank you. This movie was great. I'm glad we got to review it. I loved it. I enjoyed watching it again. I got teary-eyed when the owl, I thought the owl was dead. So it brought back a lot of good memories, and I'm glad I got to watch it again. Enough to where I even wanted to dress up to be able to talk about it.
your outfit in the comments, ladies and gents, if you appreciate Miss Janet doing her cosplay, will you please give a round of applause or congratulations or such for that? And I
I
really
like
do
it. I think it's fun. And like me wearing a Western outfit, a Western shirt and stuff when we did the ones with the bad girls.
Yeah.
If I can do it, if I have something I can do, I'm gonna do it.
I'm so glad that we didn't get the script that they originally had.
Oh no, that would have been horrible.
I mean, it was already bad enough as it was tepid.
Yeah.
The movie was very tame. It could have gone a little bit more. It could have done more. It could have done a lot more. But for what it
But it
is,
was funny when they said that they took the ending off about her being naked, totally naked, at the end, But the
Yeah.
thing is, they had the total naked mom walking along with the naked kid, completely naked. Then you see her breastfeeding her baby and her boobs are out, nipples and everything. You don't see that anymore. So there was lots of nudity in this. It just wasn't during sex. It was just natural nudity of like natives walking around. But there was tons of boobies and butts and nice looking women.
it's one of the most fabulous movies of 1994. And that movie made me stop wanting to watch movies from 1994 with you because I'm like, no, gotta go. We're gonna watch other years because there's we did what we did Bad Girls. I'm done with 94. we
I
had a
still
good
thought
run,
it was a
kids.
good movie. I still like it, and I'd watch it again. So it's just different things for different, different strokes for different folks.
I get it. Before we head off, have you watched Cobra Kai?
I love Cobra Kai. I haven't watched it this season yet, but I've watched all of it up till now.
Okay,
Just like The Boys.
all
I love The Boys too.
I liked season 1 of The Boys. I haven't watched season 2 yet. And
I can't wait to get to watch Sausage Fest. Let me know what you think about that.
now I'm worried.
It's an episode in it. So
okay. We're gonna head off now and thank everybody for showing up tonight. We had an average of like 8 or 9 people here throughout the whole stream, which is markedly
that's
more than
awesome. Thank you.
That's more than what we usually have during the stream, and we usually get a good respectable amount. I mean, my streams with you are not dramatically, they're not drama filled. We're not talking about like our hatred for the Amazon Lord of the Rings shit. We're not talking about how much we want to pummel.
Everyone else is talking about that
Everybody
already.
else has got that. I'm talking about something that's fun. I've got like one of the coolest co-hosts out there, and like I'm so happy that you joined. Like, thank you, Janet, for helping.
You're so welcome. I'm loving it. I tell you that every week, and I'm so thankful that you thought about me and wanted me to join you to be able to do something I love, anyways. So it's like having a party. I mean, it's just getting to do something I would do anyways, but I'd just be by myself. So I love it.
I want to say thank you to my chat. Thank you to our chat tonight. We had Calvin Ani, Shadow and Sun, Six Nation, 31 Kings. We had Elwin here, had Zachrat 315. We had a bunch of other people that popped in and like everybody that kept commenting and having the chat go back and forth. Hey, Baron Girock, how you doing, sir?
Hi.
Calvin Ani's right. There's plenty of channels talking about the other negative crap. I want to talk about something I love, or at least something I enjoy doing, which is watching movies. I want to see something good, at least for 2 hours a week. Give me a beam of sunlight. And Janet helped bring that along. Thank you, Janet.
You're welcome. It was fun. I enjoyed it. Can't wait for next week.
Me too. I'm looking forward to Nigel Terry and the guys. Do you want to escort us out and close the balcony?
What does that mean?
Say goodbye.
Oh, Bye, everybody. Thank you for coming.